What about a cover letter? What does that look like? And first couple of times you do this, you'll probably want to look at these reports and you'll get a better feel for them to decide, what you normally want to use and what you don't want to use. So in a cover letter, what is it? It's our standard cover letter. It's 4 paragraphs of what we think defines a CMA. Notice the cover letter puts in today's date, puts in the client's name, address, city, state, and zip, puts in the salutation, and then it puts in your signature down on the bottom of the screen. So that's all put in for you. This information here is just a basic little boilerplate or generic type of a cover letter that we include for you to save you some time. And it does a really good job of actually telling you what a CMA is. So again, the first couple of times, you're probably going to go through here and choose and take a look at these reports to see if they really are applicable for the CMA. Now remember the library we had over here? There's a lot of other reports that you can, swap out if you want to or add to. It just depends on what you like and what you don't like. One of the items in here that I like is called the personal profile, and I'm going to pick that one from my library and I'm going to just slide it over to the right. Now it always puts it on the bottom of the screen, so from there if you want to go ahead and move it around and put it in a different order, again, you can adjust that. Now that personal profile that you see is kind of a little information page about you, except we don't know anything about you. So if you notice the one that you're viewing now, it just says experience, enter here. Personal affiliations, enter here. I can't enter them from here. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute. But keep in mind, if you're going to use something like a personal profile or something that is specific to you or your office, you're going to have to do some work on it. We're just going to give you kind of the template to work with. We're not going to fill it in. We're not going to assume that you have a lot of experience or whatever. So what you want to be real careful with if you use like the personal profile or the office profile, that you take the time to fill it in. You don't just leave it in your binder, if you will, and then print it or email it that way. It's going to look pretty stupid when somebody gets something that says enter experience here. So, you get where I'm going with that. So if you're going to use something, make sure you're willing to do some work with it. If you don't have time to do that, just don't do it. It's up to you. So all I want you to do here is I want you to choose the reports you want, remove the ones you don't want, and then put them in the order that you want. At this point in time, you then go to the last step, which is actually giving you your final CMA presentation. And based on what you picked in the previous step, which was step 7, this drop-down list is more or less your table of contents, and these are all of the different reports that are included into your CMA presentation. Now you're probably thinking, well, why do I have page 16 through 29? Why do I have CMA comp detail? Because that's the detailed report of each one of your comparable properties. And there's 2 pages to each one because it's the long report. So again, there's a lot of pages here. You may want to think, well, maybe I need to remove some of these pages. And the nice thing about it is you can, as you're looking at it here in just a moment, you can go through and remove anything you want by simply removing it. If you see something you don't like, you can also take it out from here if need be. Or again, you could take it out back from the select pages where we were just a minute ago. So page number 1 is your title page, and that's the one that usually goes on top. That you want to make look pretty. You can put it in a binder if you want to. You can also print and email this as you go through. If you don't like the title page, you can of course remove it and it just won't appear. The next step or the next page in your CMA is your cover letter. And your cover letter, again, you can use it in its current state. You can remove it or lose it if you don't want it. And now we offer you a third option. You can edit this report. So use it, lose it, or change it. Those are your 3 options. Now, editing it is not as simple as it really seems. If I'm going to edit this report, I have to choose the edit button. I'm then going to be presented with a couple of questions. What do you want? Where do you want this edited report to end up? You can make this change to this report exclusively for this CMA for this individual. Now, you would only do that if you were putting something in here that was specific to that person that could not be used anywhere else. If you were going to create your own custom cover letter, you would then say allow this report to be available for other CMA presentations, so then it would be included into your library that you could then replace it with in subsequent CMAs. If you're doing it specifically for this person, choice A. If you're going to make it available for other CMAs, choice B. And if you're going to make it available in other parts of the system, you would say, hey, I want this to be available everywhere so I can use it in other time and places outside of a CMA. Now for today, I'm going to just choose the first option here because I'm going to put something specific in here, and I'm going to click OK. Now, as soon as I click OK, this now opens up our report editor program of Tempo 5. Now, the report editor allows you to edit or design your own reports or take the existing reports that are there and modify them like I'm going to do here. Now, this looks a little complex. This is what kind of like opening up the hood of that report and seeing what's underneath it, kind of the bones of the different report. As you kind of hover over this page, you'll notice that when you get over a paragraph, it boxes that paragraph in. And as soon as you box in a paragraph, if you want to edit that paragraph, just double click and it will allow you to make changes to that paragraph. And again, this is maybe not for everyone, but if you want to make some simple edits here, let's say you want to maybe just highlight or bold some text in that paragraph. Just like a simple word processor, you highlight what you want to use. You can change the font style to bold if you want to. If you want to put the font in a different color, you can, of course, do that if you want to. And if you notice on the bottom of the screen, it's giving me a preview of what I've just done at this particular point. So there's some additional functions you can use here if you want to do just a simple bolding or underlining or putting something in italics or changing the font size. That's pretty easy. You can add borders around it if you want to really make it stand out. You can even take words and you can put hyperlinks into them if you want to. This is a whole different class, but let's just keep it simple now for the text. So with the text, I've just bolded something and I've put it into red. I'm going to bold it here, put it into red, and then I'm going to click OK. Notice that in my preview now, it has that text in bold and in red. Now, if for some reason you make something bigger, you may have to drag these boxes a little bit with a little double-headed arrow. You may have to drag them a little bit so all of the text fits appropriately. If you've made any changes to this, you're going to have to save it under a unique name simply because this is the master copy. You're changing it, so you're going to have to save it under a different name. And to do that, you use the tools across the top. There's a little icon that says Save. When you click Save, it's going to ask you to rename this, and I'm just going to rename it with my letter J. Notice that I have some different functions here where I can save this as a personal level, which means it's only available to me. Depending on the permission level you may or may not have, you may be able to save this on an office level, so everybody in your office would have access to this template, or some people even have a firm level, which would be used across different offices within the same firm. Most people will only have the personal level. If you don't see these, don't worry. Nothing's wrong. It's just that the permission level you have is not applicable for this particular item. So I'm going to save it personally. I'm going to click OK, and it's going to tell me that report has been saved, and I get a little message that says report has been saved. Then I click OK once again, and then I click Close to get out of the report editor. And one thing that it does, it takes you back to the first page of your CMA, and now when I go to my next page, you can see that my cover letter now has my changes in it with my bolding and my red and everything else that I put in. So that's just a real simple way to edit existing reports that we have. Just go to Edit, make any simple changes, save them under a different name, and then once you save them, this report is now available in my library, so I can use this copy each and every time for subsequent CMAs instead of the one that we have provided for you. So it's kind of like you're creating your own little document that you can insert every time. Now, a question came up yesterday, can I insert documents that I already have saved on my hard drive on my own computer? The answer is no, you cannot insert anything into this program. You actually have to create it with our report writer. So again, the report writer, we all have a tutorial on that. If you were to go up to the question mark, which is the help program, under tutorials, we have a video tutorial on how to work with the report editor. We also have some supporting documentation that you can download also. It's a fun tool. If you have the patience to work with it and you're creative, you can have a good time with it. And again, the next couple of steps here, here's that personal profile. This is where I really wouldn't leave it like this. So I really have two choices here. I'm either going to remove it or I'm going to edit it. And if I edit it, I'm going to use the same form and functionality that I did on the previous page. Again, click in the boxes, put in my experience, and save it under a different name. So in this case, I'm just going to remove it because I don't want to use it in this one. And always keep in mind that for some reason it takes you back to the front page again. And then you just have to follow your way through. So I've got a lot of different reports here. And again, once you start creating these, you can look at these and find which ones work best for you. A couple of reports that are nice. The location, I told you there was going to be a map in here. And here's a map showing you where the comparable properties are located. The reds are your solds. The aqua blues are your current active properties. So you get that nice little map built in there, which makes life easy to look at. And as you go down, if you happen to use the net proceeds sheet, it would look something like this. Of course, it would be filled out with your proceeds, but this happens to be the consumer version of what it looks like here. Again, very simple. Marketing plan, we've included a marketing plan for you as, again, an extra report you can include in your CMA. Again, remember, all these reports, use them, lose them, or change them to your own liking. And this just gives you some simple marketing plan suggestions that you can do. Now, if you don't do all of this, edit the report, take out the things you don't do, put in things you do, and then rename it under CMA Marketing Plan J, and then use that each and every time. You know, I know some people that it says that, you know, I'm going to go and syndicate my listings out to different third-party sites like, you know, Zillow and Trulia and stuff like that. You know, maybe go ahead and create that in there and put all the websites that you're going to, you know, syndicate your listings to. Again, it's a marketing plan, what you're going to do for the seller to market that property. If you don't have a marketing plan, here's a good guideline for you right over here. And then we even have a preparing your home document. And this is kind of a punch list for the seller, what he or she should be doing to the exterior and interior of their home. If you feel this is fluff, just remove it. If you like it, throw it in there. If you want to edit it and put in baked chocolate chip cookies on the interior, that's fine. You know, if that works for you, hey, that's great. Again, I told you we'd give you probably more than what you normally would put in a CMA, so feel free to remove pages you don't want and add in pages that you do want. Once you're done with your CMA program, at the bottom of the screen, you've got a couple of options on how you're going to get it to your client. One option is via email. When you click on the email button, it's going to generate an email dialog box for you. It's going to put in the client's email address already. You will have to give it a subject line, and it will include the text for you. If you want to change that text, feel free to do that. And there will be a link that the consumer will click on to open up the CMA that they can view, and they can print it if they want to. Another option is for you to just print it, send this all to your printer, and that will print out all 31 pages in this case to your printer. If you make a mistake and you change one page, you can always go to that page and print just the current page so you don't have to reprint 31 again. You can also save your CMA presentation as a PDF file, which means you have an electronic copy of it you can store on your hard drive somewhere, and if you would prefer, you could save it as a PDF and you could email it as an attachment to your customer if you prefer to do that. Again, that's up to you and how you want to do it.